London, England, extracting the signal from the noise. It's theCUBE, covering Discover 2015. Brought to you by Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Now your hosts, John Furrier and Dave Vellante.
Hello everyone, welcome to theCUBE. Special presentation here in London, England for HPE Discover, HP Enterprise Discover. It's the first official HP Enterprise show as part of the November 1st official split between the Hewlett Packard company, which split up into two groups, HPE and then obviously HP Inc., which is the printer and consumer products. I'm John Furrier. This is our flagship program where we go out to the events and extract the signal from the noise. I'm John, my co-host Dave Vellante, been co-hosting theCUBE, Dave, since 2010. We've been seeing all the Discovers since. It's been quite a run now. HP split into two. The big story here is focus. You know, solidarity. You know, I'm turning 50 today, so if I can split myself into two 25-year-olds, that would be more power, more horsepower, more focus. What do you think?
Well, first of all, happy birthday, John. It's great to be with you on your 50th. So yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the big news here is the split, which occurred on November 1st. Officially, of course, HP's been working on this since, well, earlier this year. And, you know, from a financial standpoint, they basically have created two Fortune 50 customers. The HPE, which is we're here at HPE Discover, is the enterprise part of that business. It's about a $25 billion business. They're trading as separate public entities. The HPE business trades at a very undervalued 50 cents on the revenue dollar, so there's a lot of upside in this stock. John, I've been saying for years that HP as an organization pre-split has to shrink to grow, and that's exactly what's happening. And the company, you know, essentially is now, I think from a revenue standpoint, hit bottom. The company actually grew last quarter, around 3% of the top line, and that's something that Meg Whitman is really going to be focused on, is growing the top line, and we'll be unpacking the various segments of the business, but there's a little nuance that's going on here. Think of HP Inc. as the cash flow generator, the sort of stable business in printers and ink and PCs, and think of HPE as the potential growth engine. HP had a lot of debt from the Autonomy acquisition and other acquisitions. It has essentially taken out a $14.5 billion note, restructured that debt, hit the HP Inc. side of the business with most of that debt because it has the ability to service that debt because of its higher cash flow, and it's really restructured the balance sheet of HPE. Why is that important? It's important because HPE essentially has no debt. That means that HPE can now be an aggressive acquirer of companies. So to the extent that HP can fine-tune its M&A, it can really begin to invest both organically in R&D and with M&A to start driving growth, which I think is a key metric that everybody's watching for HP.
You know, Dave, it's been interesting. One of the things we've been watching is the moves HP's been making. Obviously, you know, they've been more of a laggard on a lot of the emerging technology. We've seen them certainly in cloud, kind of zigging and zagging. Obviously, Amazon's doing great. You got the Azure news last week was really compelling, waiting to hear more about that. HP's partnering, and you're starting to see HP's strategy kind of bear out. They're saying, hey, you know, we don't want to be the mega cloud per se, but we want to be the core technology for the cloud and work and partner with their ecosystem. They've had a lot of success with the Wintel, Windows, Intel, Microsoft, Intel relationship in the past, in the Gen 1, and now you start to see HP kind of going back to their roots saying, hey, we know this dance. Now the question is it the same as it was before, and how compelling will that be? Also, other notable partnerships, they're partnering with a lot of service providers, and I'll see the telco opportunities. Sargalai's running that group. That's been exploding from what we've been hearing internally. A lot of momentum around Sargalai's work with NFV and the whole telco opportunity. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the leadership of Meg Whitman. Can HP take this turnaround point of the split and make it their launching pad to the rhetoric we've been hearing about HP for 5 years now in terms of this turnaround? First, Meg Whitman says it's going to take a lot longer than she had expected it to be, and then they split the company in half. Now there's no place to hide. The results are all there in two publicly held companies. I personally think it's a good bargain now on the stock front, so do other analysts. But this is going to be a leadership question for Meg Whitman. Her legacy is on the line here at HPE. Can this work? Will it work? Do they have the management, Dave, for that to go to the next level? Certainly they got the organizational power, they got the market power, leadership. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think that you're right on with that, the points you're making about cloud. And let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, essentially what HP did is they decided, like they did years ago, not to try to take on the industry and try to dominate in the operating systems business. It said, you know what, we can make money reselling Intel hardware and Microsoft software, and it's done a very good job of doing that. Now, it's done so at lower operating margins than certainly Microsoft or Intel or the likes of Oracle, for example. I mean, HPE as an entity has operating profits that are, its target is 9% operating profit, so it's running it significantly less. I mean, the big profit engine, of course, is software, which is a 30% operating profit, but it's only a small portion of the income statement. So to your point, HP has now decided we're going to resell Microsoft Azure. And I think there are more similarities than differences with regard to the whole shift from on-premises to cloud. I mean, you can make money at cloud. We know from Amazon's operating results, its operating profits are consistent with other industry leaders like EMC. In fact, Amazon has higher operating profits than EMC, so there's money to go around. I have no doubt that Microsoft is making a lot of money in cloud, as will IBM, as will Oracle. HP will make money basically taking a portion of that Azure business and reselling it to its customer base and adding value on top of that. I mean, so HP is sort of this hybrid, right? They've got this big innovation engine out of HP Labs, and it's really trying to do organic development, and then they're just this massive, integrator of technologies, and it can make money at doing that. And I think to your point about, is it undervalued? Like I said, it's trading at 50 cents on the revenue dollar. It should be trading at least 1 times revenue. So the stock price, in my opinion, has the opportunity to double.
Well, we're going to be talking to HP again. We were just at HPE Discover. It was called HPE Discover in Las Vegas in America. Now it's HPE for HPE Enterprise. Great branding. I will have to say that so far this event has been flawless. Registration, I got to say, best I've seen it in a large event. Flawless, people putting their QR codes in there. Nice streamlined operation. The branding here in the hall is phenomenal. I do like the new branding. I admit it grows on you. Because first I was a little bit kind of like not really kind of getting the vibe, but totally get the branding now. It really is working well. Again, Dave, to me it comes down to this. What is HP all about in this new HP? This new HPE. And the question I'm asking myself and what I'm going to be looking for from the signal this week is, where's the software? One of the things that really is driving this market is software. HP has been a hardware company in its DNA going back to the roots of in the computer business. But one of the things about HP that always has been their calling card is they're never really the first mover, but they do innovate, and they've done that in the PCs. I remember when you couldn't give away an HP personal computer back in the 90s. Compaq, IBM ran the table on that, and HP then became #1 in personal computers. Same with servers on the Intel side. They've always had that workstation, but HP is a really good fast follower. So what I'm watching is how well will HP do in the cloud business as a fast follower, and 2, how do they sequence from the hardware business, Dave, to really having a software core competency throughout the company, and that is something I have not seen yet, and I'm looking for that.
Well, I think you're right on. I mean, I've said for years that HP's got to increase the contribution from software, and the problem is that HP hasn't had, the balance sheet to be able to go out and acquire companies. It acquired Vertica prior to the Autonomy acquisition. Of course, acquired Autonomy. That didn't work out. It was a software acquisition, and it was a mistaken one. But Vertica last quarter grew 50% in license revenue, which is enormous. But the problem is, again, it's too small of a contributor. HP's overall software business declined 2%, so it's got to get that software contribution up in the mix. And I think it's a critical factor because, as I said before, software margins are 30% relative to the sort of 9% target that HP has. So I think HPE can do much, much better than that 9% operating profit. So it's a key point that you're making. And I think the other thing is, Meg Whitman has really 5 initiatives that she's talked about. She wants to grow top line revenue, she wants to grow free cash flow, she wants to grow operating profits, she wants to turn R&D into products, and very importantly, she wants to fix services. So remember, HPE bought EDS years ago, and EDS had a huge outsourcing business. The problem in the outsourcing business is you lose money the first couple of years of the deal. You break even the next couple of years of the deal, and you make money at the tail end of the deal. And the problem that HPE and EDS have been having is that they've got to restructure the contracts at the end of those deals, and as a result, they're renegotiating. So the deal never becomes profitable. So Meg's very much aware of that. She's got to fix that. Once they fix that services component, I think that's when you're going to start to see the top line revenue growth.
I mean, one of the things, again, this is a critical show for HP for me at many levels. One is, obviously I'm a big fan of HP, worked there for 8, 9 years in my former life, actually spent their 50th birthday, Dave, with them as part of their 1939 to 1989 run. But I got to tell you, the real top story here is what does HP have on the docket for their growth strategy, their innovation strategy with software product mix, but ultimately this comes down to me, EMC, Dell, war versus HP. If you look at what Michael Dell has been saying about EMC and all the rhetoric around his growth strategy, which Meg Whitman blatantly came out with, talked about the debt, slammed Michael Dell big time. Michael Dell came back and slammed it. This is clearly, Michael Dell has HP in his sights. So to me, I want to see how Meg responds from a leadership standpoint, not necessarily directly to Michael Dell, but to the changing market conditions. The 4 transformation areas were the same messages that were out there last year. I want to see if they got any update to that, and where are they moving beyond to take it to the next level, Dave. And this EMC Dell merger acquisition, however you want to call it, with Michael Dell and the $60 billion deal, really has an impact on the business. So I'm really interested to get that take on that. What's your thoughts on that vis-a-vis Dell, EMC?
Well, I think again, you're right on. Those 2 companies are the big competitors, right? I mean, when you sort of line them up, you've got Dell absorbing EMC, which is a very high margin business, 60% gross margin business, coming into the Dell lower margin business. HP's got a lower margin business. There is a slow motion decline in enterprise infrastructure, hardware and software pricing, and you have to have the cost structure of an HP or a Dell in order to be able to compete. And so it's also interesting to juxtapose that, John. I would love to get your thoughts on this as to what IBM is doing. IBM is kind of running away, if you will, from hardware, selling its microelectronics business, getting out of the x86 business. I think IBM looks more like Oracle, and Dell and HPE look more consistent.
Yeah, I mean,
what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are very specific on this. I think if I'm sitting in the conference room with Meg Whitman, my advice would be the following. The HP split is over. You got the HPE Enterprise organization in place. You have Antonio Neri, who's been around the block, been here for years. You have a really good management team, what I call it the blocking and tackling senior, sub-senior level. Meaning, at the ivory tower, you have Meg Whitman and her direct staff. I think you've been seeing a lot of revolving chairs at the Meg Whitman level of the senior leadership when it comes to technology prowess, Dave. And I think underneath that layer of senior talent, there's a huge talent of people who can be, again, do the HP move, which is the fast follower, take the markets that you know are going to be winning, like cloud, like integration, like on-premise to cloud migration, everything in between, and move fast to be number 1 or at least in the top 3 position in all the top growing markets. So that's a strategy that I would advise. The second thing I would see Meg Whitman doing, and I would say, put the gas on this one, is M&A. They have to do some strategic M&A right now to get back in the game. They are very, very weak, in my opinion, on the collaboration piece of it. The cloud, I think they're going to do very well, and that's a data center business. I think they know a lot of domain expertise, so I see them being very successful in the data center and hybrid cloud business, even though they've been getting kind of dinged on the cloud side. I think with the new moves of partnering, you're going to see some really fast movement there. They just don't have a lot of juice when it comes to the collaboration, new way to the new future of work. So I want to see some more stuff there. Certainly Oracle's been very active on the M&A front when it comes to the future of work, collaboration, productivity. I think HP's got to do a lot more work there. And security, again, that's an opportunity for HP. So the 4 transformation areas, I would see a boatload of M&A activity in all 3.
I totally agree, and HP sold its tipping point division to Trend Micro to try to clean up that a little bit and really focus on not just protecting the perimeter, but really using analytics and big data to figure out who's intruded your organization. And so I think your M&A point, John, is right on. I think they've got to really focus on software acquisitions. The thing I like about what HP's doing is they're doing this in the public eye. So it's a public company, whereas Dell's going private, essentially EMC's going private. They had to do that, Dell had to really to affect that transition. HP is able to do that as a public company.
I don't think they're in a bad spot with that. I think going private was the right move for Dell. I don't think HP's going to have any ball and chain around their ankles in terms of the public markets. I think the split was basically a hardcore deal. I think now it's just get the straight and narrow, identify the growth markets, and go crazy. So we are theCUBE. This is SiliconANGLE Media's flagship program. We go out to the events and extract the signal noise. Join the conversation. Got a variety of new things. We have our new persona-based influencer software algorithm out. It's on a new site called crowdpages.co. crowdpages.co/HPE Discover. Check it out. We're going to have the live video stream up there, all the CUBE videos, news, events, All that's going to be in the crowd pages. Go to crowdchat.net/HPE Discover. Join the conversation with myself and Dave Vellante and the CUBE community. Bert Lattimore's doing a great job out there as well, curating this up late in the US. Jeff Frick and team in Palo Alto are putting out CUBE Gems. Go to Twitter and check out the hashtag CubeGems. And of course, go to siliconangle.com and wikibon.com and siliconangle.tv for all the coverage. We are here at HPE Discover in London. This is theCUBE. We'll be right back. Kicking off day one of a 3-day CUBE coverage of HPE Discover in London. We'll be right back.